Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a Dutch Zaanse clock movement to work on, and I didn't get the box. I actually have no idea just what it looks like. I almost fear whoever has the box, it ended up with some water damage maybe because of the way the movement looks like. Let me show you the movement. So this is the movement. Now, the one that had this told me they've already cleaned it, but they didn't take it apart. You can see that there's rust on here, and I'm sure it's down the side here. This clock actually looks like it was underwater. It's really bad there. You see all the screws are messed up looking. This clock, or this movement, I tried to see if it would gong. I tried to see if it would tick, and I really had to pressure the gears by holding inside here to make them work. And so I decided, well, I'm taking this thing apart anyway to clean it. So I went ahead and oiled it first to see if I could get this thing to do anything. It actually does work. Now again, the number one thing on here, this here has a slip clutch. And you look in here, this can only tick just so far. It's not allowed to tick any further than that. And so right here is the slip clutch, and it was frozen there, but the only way actually to adjust it, because you can't pull the pendulum just so far, is you actually have to hold on here to give it some kind of movement. And like I say, right now it's just a little bit still a little bit stiff. And so I'll deal with that once I did add a drop of oil in there, but until I can actually take this thing apart and get that thing moving again, it's kind of rough trying to, well, let's say if you had this in the box, to get this thing to tick-tock evenly, because if it was off, you'd have to have your clock crooked instead of nice and level. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is start taking this front off. But actually before that, I'm going to take pictures, even though not necessarily I need them, but if you're going to try to attempt this, you should take pictures to see where every piece goes. This here shaft for the hour and minute hand, it needs to be pointed down because you're going to take these 4 nuts off. When you have it pointed down, now start taking your pictures on the inside. Make sure your pictures are clear enough that you can see where each one of these go, just in case you get messed up a little bit. Don't forget to take pictures of the back, just to see where everything's supposed to set, but especially the front of the clock. This here has her number of 516. Really small, but it's in there. And that's the only thing I see on here. This here lacquer finish that's on here, I'm going to probably go ahead and strip it off. I see it's kind of stripped on the sides a little bit and a little bit messed up down here. But because I'm going to strip it off, obviously I'm going to shine this brass up to make it look nice again. Right there's a slip clutch. I'm going to do some work to it, I guess. Let the oil soak in a little bit better or something. Like I say, this whole thing has that rusty look all over it. And I don't know if that's, let's say, the cleaner he used, or if this clock actually got soaked. And of course I'm going to run this through the cleaner anyway. But I'm just trying to get to loosen up with the oil. So now that we have that off, we're going to take the gong, the hammer. I always call it a gong. The hammer goes to the gong. But we have to release this here E-clip. And get the spring wire out. And of course this here, you have to make sure it comes through where you need it to bypass right where that hole is. Now you can see this has got 3 different holes here. This movement is made for 3 different types of clocks, I'm sure. Otherwise those holes wouldn't be there. And it just helps cut the cost of building these clocks. And the sad thing is, it's always about cutting the cost. So that side's done. Let me get the E-clips off carefully on this side. Like I say, they're kind of nasty looking. And I don't know if it's because of the cleaner he used, but it all has that rusty, looks like it was sitting underwater look. So we got those 2 off, so now you can lift the snail off. The gear. So that one, they're plastic, so you got to be careful. But I'm at the oil it. Let's see. No, I was able to get it to pop. Plastic gears are a little bit scary sometimes. See, even if you got this running, it's got so much corrosion or something in here that it wouldn't run that long. This has got a spring underneath it, so you have to be careful when we take the E-clip off. I'm almost not sure why it has a spring on it. I have to get this one off first. Oh no, I can lift this up. There we go. This one here has the E-clip on this plate here. I don't know why they didn't put it back here where you get to it, easier, but this is the way they built the clock. The movement. That took some doing to get out. Like I say, this thing's so full of that rusty corrosion look to it. See, all the gears are that, looks like all rust or clay that was in there. Your Pac-Man, I'll call it. I don't know if I really care about taking this part off. If it comes off, it comes off. Usually they, let's call it, come off quite easily. So as far as I'm concerned, the hardest part about this movement, it's open on this side and it's not open on this side, and so it's harder to get these pivots in unless you're holding it up so you can see where they need to go, and sometimes holding it up makes it so they start falling out as you have it sitting at an angle. And now let's go ahead and pull this plate off. And here, let me show you closer. You can see how it looks like this thing's been set in water or something, because they're just kind of nasty. So anyway, let me get a picture looking down on here so that way we can tell for sure what this here looks like and how the gears should be setting. And if anything, I can look at those pictures I took of each side to get the gears in where they need to go. Let's go ahead and take it apart. Let's try the time side first. So we got a lot of scrubbing to do on each one of these gears. To hopefully get those cleaned up and so you don't have what I guess we'll call friction. This has got a nice clicker, but it's really got some drag to it. So after I get it cleaned up, I'm going to oil it, and more than likely there'll be a place where I'm going to add grease to it to see if I can keep this thing going smoothly. Right now, like I say, there's a heavy drag to it. This here is your hammer side where it'll gong. Of course, your governor. This here is what slows the speed down so it doesn't sound like a machine gun when it is going off. This one's just as tight, trying to get it to work. This one's got your warning pin on it, and it's also the one that the Pac-Man hooks to. And there's another warning pin. And still, we don't know if we're going to get that. In my opinion, normally I don't care about taking this off. And like I say, it looks like plastic. If I can get it off, fine. If I can't, I am not going to worry about it. it turns smoothly. That's the main thing. I can clean that shaft up with not a heart attack, I guess we'll put it that way. So let me get these things in the cleaner and get them all clean, and hopefully all shine back up again. So I got it all back together where the gears are supposed to go. I don't know for sure about the timing until I get the levers in there and try it out. Then I can go ahead and put my plate on and get all the gears back in, which I'm going to have to do that obviously off camera like I did these, because I can't see through this plate to get those in. As I've mentioned before on the other one I rebuilt, these are such small pivots and whatnot that you have to be very careful and don't pressure them in there. As I started putting, I got these winders in first and worked my way on one side and then the other, but as I could, I got the two nuts on to help hold everything from coming out of place. And then I started working the rest of the way one way and held the plate down and worked the other way. Now it's able to go to show that I've got them all in. So now what I need to do is get my levers in so I can see whether I have my timing set, I guess we'll put it that way, for the gong. So before I start putting my levers on, getting everything in the way, I'm going to go ahead and oil this. Because some of these I won't be able to see. I'll be fighting to see them, I guess we can put it that way. And I'll say it again, my pen dumps the oil, then it sucks it back up. These here you can find, surprisingly, you can find them on, or you look in the watch tools, and that's where you'll find these. I don't understand why they're in the watch area, because I would think you have to push this. It's got a spring on it, or in it, and I think it'd damage your watch if you were to oil it that way. A watch, you'd be better off using a sharp piece of plastic, we'll say, one that you cut and dip in, or they actually have tools. I'm not sure about wood. And I don't work on watches, I can't see them. I'm lucky to see these. So I got this thing looking good, I guess. You see the hammer. Let's back off a little bit here. What I'll do is I'm gonna, this right way, a little bit. We're coming up. That's a half hour. Coming up. So on the, as this is fallen in, this has its last hammer onto the bell, and it looks to me to be quite well. We'll bring it around again, but you can pay attention. We'll get a little closer again. We're going to pay attention to where this drops, and I've learned you want it to drop clear back here, but we want to get it over on the 12 and see just where it's sitting. So I'm just going to spin this around. You can see where it's dropping each time right at the beginning of the drop on the snail. Right there. The beginning of the drop of the snail. But we're more interested right now at the, we'll do the 11 o'clock one. So here should be 11 o'clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Here's our 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I don't know if you're watching the video where this piece right here, it'd come up and then it'd start to hit the gear, it'd kind of fumble, not hit exactly where the tooth was. Well, now it's hitting right in, and what I did is this piece of the lever right here, I gave it just a little bit of a tweak with the pliers to get it to hit in a gear, and then of course test it, because the first time I got a little bit carried away and bent it too much, and it kept going up and then back down into the same hole of teeth. It never would move, so I had to bend it just a little bit further so it would catch the teeth. They're coming up for the half hour. I keep turning it the wrong way. So I'm off, because look where I've dropped and it's catching. That's where we want it. It doesn't help when you don't have this screwed down. You keep messing with it back and forth, and it passes the gears. So that's our 12. This is our half hour. Now we're going to go for our 1 o'clock. It's just hitting, and that might not be a good thing because it's way close to the edge. Here's our half hour. Coming to our 2 o'clock. Half hour. 3 o'clock. $3:30. This should be our 4 o'clock. See how close we are to the drop off. That's not really bad. I'm more worried about the 1 o'clock strike because it does drop awful close to it. But for it's dropping right now, I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and test each one of these until I get back to the 12. We'll do the 12 count, then we'll see where the 130, the 30 part never matters because this here never drops down on the snail. It always just drops just a little bit, and then when the hour comes, that's when this will drop all the way down. Okay, I just ran it through this 12-hour count. Like I say, we're going to be watching this. This will hardly drop for the half hour, and then I want to see it again onto the 1 o'clock. So here we come up to the half hour. It didn't even drop hardly. Here we come to the 1 o'clock. It's catching decent enough. And I'm talking about right here. And I imagine you've noticed this, how it's not black. That's because the paint's come off of it, and I'm not sure, I don't remember what he said he used or whatever to clean, and it's not any biggie whether this is black or not. It's just normally black, and I'm not going to repaint it. We're going to call it good, it's not going to hurt anything. So maybe I started tweaking it a little early. You notice this here is sitting right on top of the gear. This here needs to be spread so it can either spread or shrunk so it can hit this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Let's just see where what it's gonna do. One, 2, 3, 4. So it drops down into the hole or into the groove or whatever. And so what I need to do is open this up just a little bit so it'd fall into that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or bend this back where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to spread this apart just a little bit and put my screwdriver there and just give it a little bit of a tweak. You can't even see if it's going to do it or not. But there we're falling in. So there's our 4 o'clock, and it's falling in where it needs to. So that's all I did, is spread this just a little bit. And like I say, you just put pressure on it. You can't see it move, but you don't want to see it move because this goes way out over here. And if you've seen it move, it'd be way out of whack. So I'm happy with that. Let me get this washer on before it all falls off again. So we're going to oil these to prevent the friction, and also it makes the clock, let's say, not squeak. Sometimes your clock will be ticking away and it'll go squeak, 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 and it's dragging on the gear. It's not able to move across it very well. Now when it comes to this here, I haven't been able to loosen it, and so pretty much what you're gonna have to do is, once it's in the clock, in the clock, you're gonna have to listen for this to be ticking properly. And if it needs moved, you're gonna actually have to hold on to this and bend this a little bit because it won't move inside there. I tried cleaning it and whatnot. It doesn't want to move, and so that's what's going to have to be done. I don't have the clock box, so the owner of this is good. Well, it's actually the owner's friend that sent this clock to me to take a look at, and he's going to have to adjust this so it's not off on its ticking and talking. So let me get this back in and then oil these up, and this clock should be ready to go. And of course, like I say, right here, that's all the further that clock's allowed to tick because the pendulum fits right in between this. So I did hang the pendulum on here, leveled it on my desk the best I could, and got it on beat, I guess we'll say, for this being as level as I can put it. I don't have the chains of this, and I'm not going to worry about digging out chains to see if I have some that'll fit, because if I had the chains, if they would have sent them, then I could test this for a week before I sent it back. But so far, it was ticking just fine, and this is set up to where it should ring the bell when it's time to ring the bell, and all this seems to work great. So it's nice to get this movement going again to help his friend out, and hopefully they're going to be happy with it. It's nice and shiny compared to what it was. Like I say, it looked like it was laying in water just for the looks of it right off. Anyway, seems to be ticking fine as long as I'm using my finger on the chain area, and so hopefully he's happy because I'm happy. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe because it's free, Give me a thumbs up if you appreciate this video. And until next time, God bless.